Theory of constraints. Basically what the like in very simple language, what the theory of constraints means is your business is only going to grow up to the level of your closest constraint. Okay? And so what is a constraint, right? It's basically it's what's holding you back. What's your bottleneck, okay? And so you can if you really want to like boil it down and make it simple, you could have constraints in basically three different areas. It could be marketing, could be sales, or it could be fulfillment. Now, some people like to get granular with it, and the way I look at my own companies is I always get a little bit more granular with it, and so I actually separate fulfillment out into a couple of different levels because they're kind of different things. So you might say like onboarding, delivery, and then you might say like review and referral, right? So if we think about our business like a pipe, right? And we want water coming in this pipe. So on the front end, we're putting in some dollars in the form of like advertising money, money that we're spending to get attention to the business. And ideally, on the back end, we should be getting more dollars out, right? And so if this is the flow, we've got money flowing through. Let's do green for money. So we've got money flowing through, right? Well, right now you can see that there's these like valves at these different spots, right? Marketing, sales, onboarding, delivery, review, and referral. And these valves are various levels of open, right? But none of them are completely wide open. Now, some of you might be in a position where marketing is just a like you're just not getting leads. I hope that's not anybody here. I hope there's nobody who's just like not getting leads, but it happens, especially when you're starting out, right? And so if that's the case, I want you guys to tell me like if this is your business, marketing's completely clogged, you're not getting any leads. How much good is it going to do you to try to refine your onboarding process? Any brave soul?
It'll do you good, but it's not going to be, you're not going to see the effects.
It's not going to grow the business, right? So, what we need to do then is we need to focus all of our discretionary effort on opening up marketing so that we can deal with, the next constraint and the next and the next and the next, right? So, this is what we're talking about when we say your business is only going to grow to the level of your nearest constraint, right? Now, marketing, what a lot of people do, this is a very common one, right? A lot of people have, you know, decent marketing, decent sales, everything's kind of in decent shape. And their default is to go, okay, I need to fix my delivery problems because clients constantly have questions, and like I'm the only one they're willing to go to for questions. They don't really like listen to my staff the same way they listen to me, right? Anybody has anybody experienced that? Yeah, totally. Ryan. um, so a lot of people go, "Oh, that must be a service delivery problem. I need to change my systems, or I need to hire another person, or I need to do this or that, or get this piece of software that's going to help." What a lot of people don't consider though is maybe we're just getting the wrong type of customers in the first place. Maybe the customers we're attracting are people who are more inclined to be more of a pain in the ass to deliver for. Does that make sense? And so, what if we just go a little bit up market? You ever see that meme? I see this on Twitter all the time, where it's like, the $500 client is like has a million questions. They're like, "What do I get for this? What's your guarantee? Like, how quickly are you going to get this done for me?" And then the $5,000 client just says like, "Agreement signed, thanks." Anybody ever seen that one? You guys know what I'm talking about? Yeah. So what people oftentimes don't consider is that a lot of your fulfillment problems can sometimes come from a marketing problem where you're attracting the wrong people in the first place, right? This can also happen in sales. Brian, how many times have you seen it where like a sales rep doesn't set the right expectations on the call and then that turns into a refund like 30 days later?
That never happens. Just kidding. Um, yeah, well, it's just like it's a slippage of words, right? If you're not clear and concise with outcomes and what's being delivered, then the client will hear what they need to hear in order to get out of the situation if they're that kind of person, right? So just like you say what's included, you also need to be adamant about what's not included in the program. So this is what you're getting, but you're not getting this. I just want to be clear on that. But the order and operations in which you deliver that is something that we can go over if you do a one-on-one with me, or we can do it as a future training. But when you're offering something, it's like include this is what you get. Here are the benefits. Here's what's included. Here are the benefits. Here's what's included. Here are the benefits. Sign here. Then here's what, just to be clear, here's what you're getting. Here's what you're not getting. Right. So there's an order of operations in that as well. But missed expectations can be annoying for all.
Yeah. And so the point being though, that that's a problem you wouldn't realize until you get into either your onboarding process or your delivery process, right? But that doesn't mean it's a problem with onboarding or delivery. So again, reason I go through this with you guys is because it's incredibly important. This is the way you need to view your business. It's been incredibly transformational for me since I've started looking at my business essentially like a pipeline like this. I know it has been for Ryan and for Brian and everybody I talk to who kind of like shifts their thinking and the way they understand how their business functions. It just makes it a lot easier because like we all have problems everywhere in the business, right? Like how many of you guys have had multiple fires in different parts of the business in the last 30 days? Right. Exactly. So it's like there's always going to be problems. And it's actually, to me at least, it's very freeing to be able to say, hey, I don't need to fix all of these problems right now. There's really one core problem, one thing that's like my ceiling that I'm bumping up into that I need to solve. And when I solve that, then I'm going to be able to continue growing, even though there's these other small, like, kitchen fires burning. Does that make sense?